Okay, good morning, everybody. It's Tuesday, September 9th. Time to call the meeting to order. The first item of business is the agenda.
Move to approve. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carried. Citizens to be heard. Do we have any citizens to be heard today on items not on the agenda? Citizens to be heard. Final call. Okay, we'll move on. Approve payment of bills and vouchers.
So moved.
Second. Motion and a second. Discussion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carried. All right, 2015 insurance renewal. We have with us Darren and Jennifer. Come on up. Good morning.
Morning. Morning.
Darren, I'm assuming you're going to start this off?
Yeah, I'm going to start it off by handing it off to Jen.
Send it right to the.
She is the workhorse.
Send it right to the brains of the operator.
Exactly. She's the workhorse of this operation when it comes to benefits. So basically, this is our yearly come to the board and ask for benefits money for 2015. This has already been through the insurance committee, and we've already briefed them on all of this, and as well as you recall that we are having a change in our plans for next year. We're adding a Viva HSA plan, a high deductible plan. That also has been through all the insurance committee and through this board as well for approval. So just to lay the groundwork for what we're going to be asking for in 2015. We have got all the renewals, I believe, and Jennifer has all those facts and figures for you. So I'll go ahead and turn it over to her.
Okay, Jennifer.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
So I put a memo in your packet.
Mike, you make sure you talk into that mic really good there.
So there's a memo in the packet in regards to the renewals, and the only item I included was the rate information that we typically go over. So I think we'll just start with the health insurance for next year. Based on our increase, we received a 13% increase for 2015, which is up from the 7% increase we had in 2014. They do a rolling backward 24-month look back for our rates and how they calculate our premiums, and we had a rough 24 months. We had some high claims. We had 7 over the 50,000, which is what Blue Cross considers high, and then we also had 2 over the 200,000 stop loss mark. So last 24 months brought us to the 13%. So when we calculated it into the spreadsheet, the rates changes are highlighted in yellow. And the increase to the county contribution, again, as a reminder, is calculated by taking half of the increase to the county, to the Triple Gold family plan. So that increase this year for the Triple Gold family is $204.50. So half of that, the 102, rounded down, brings our new 100% county contribution to $990. And then, of course, it's prorated based on the hours of work down to the 24 hours a week. So those are highlighted on the bottom. So the increase based on the current number of contracts for health insurance alone is the $443,016 there that you see at the bottom, based on how many contracts we currently have. There are one fee included in those premiums. Last year we had 2 Affordable Care Act fees, the reinsurance fee and the PCORI fee, which is the Patient Outcomes Research fee. And those are basically to fund the subsidies that are coming out of the exchanges. Both of them were in our premiums last year for 2014. For 2015, the only one we'll see in our premiums is the reinsurance fee, which is currently $44 per member. The PCORI fee, the patient research one, that will actually be an extra cost to us. We have to file that through the IRS. And Lakes Country was reimbursing us and then putting it through our premiums, but the IRS no longer allows that. So that will be a cost that we'll have for 2015. So those are the premiums. We did discuss a couple of things on health insurance at the insurance committee. One was a Healthy Start program. We did take into consideration adding that to our plans for next year. However, we did make a motion at the meeting, and then we did, that motion was pulled. The Healthy Start program is for high-risk pregnancies. And so as a self-insured plan, we can choose whether or not we want to add that program to our plan. If we do, the high pregnancy or the pregnancies that come about, they will go through a program, and they will also have to fill out a questionnaire. Based on the questionnaire and information from their doctors, then Blue Cross decides if they're considered high risk. If they are, they can enter into their Healthy Start program. And it's at a cost to us of $340. So if there is a high-risk pregnancy and the person does participate in the program, $340 is charged to our claims. And it is, of course, to try to prevent higher-risk births and just have a one-on-one nurse and more resources to a high-risk pregnancy than they typically would have. There was a concern about maybe duplication of services, as they do get more attention from their doctors when they're high risk. There's a $50 gift card that's given out that was in question. So we basically pulled the motion because we wanted to research this program a little bit more before we actually implemented it. So there's also a concern of if we don't have enough participation, we can't get a lot of tracking because of HIPAA regulations. You have to have 10 participants before you can actually see any kind of tracking in this type of program. So it was supported by the board, and then the motion was pulled for further research.
John?
Is that $340 per high-risk pregnancy?
Right. Yep.
Mr. Chair.
Wayne?
When was that 24 months up that you mentioned regarding our claims?
Let's see. The last tracking period would have been through February of this year.
Thank you.
Yep.
And they always drop 1 year off and add a new one, right? Is that how that works?
Mhm. Yep.
If I might also, Mr.
Yes.
Chair, this has been through committee, and Jennifer spoke to it very well. Everything that is on here was agreed to by the committee in a unanimous vote. So
Right.
I would move that we accept what you have in front of us.
Okay.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. Jennifer, did you have more you wanted to add?
Well,
Did you want to educate us more, or were you done everything?
well, I was just going to go through each insurance as it is, but if the motion has been made, we can certainly.
Well, I guess I'd like you to finish your presentation and we'll vote, but
I thought you was done.
that's okay.
That's okay. So just moving on to the dental insurance, there is a change in the rates, and they're highlighted in yellow on the spreadsheet. The change in rates is a suggested funding level from Blue Cross of North Dakota. It's always suggested because we are self-insured, so we do have the right to decide whether we want to increase those rates or not. Based on the funding, the premiums that have come in and the claims have been paid out as of August, we are trending slightly below, and it was recommended by the insurance committee that we do accept the increase in rates, which would be single going to $54 from $52, and the family increasing from $134 to $138. For the other insurance, the life insurance will remain the same. Long-term care remains the same. Long-term disability also remains the same. The only change there, of course, is anybody that's changing age brackets with life insurance and long-term disability. That would be an increase for 2015. And with vision, we were anticipating a rate change because we were going into a new 2-year contract, but our rates will remain the same for that new contract, and that will remain the same through 2016. So there's no change there. The only other change that there was select account. They did increase our administrative fee from $1.83 to $2.11 for 2014. We will maintain that rating if we maintain some electronic requirements. We do have to have 60% of our medical flexible spending, HRA and HSA members now participating in direct deposit. We currently have 48%, I believe. It does not count the debit card participants, however, so those are not calculated in that 60% if you have a debit card. So in the future, what we will do is anybody that's participating in crossover, which is already a mandatory thing with select account, they will automatically have to have direct deposit. If they don't have crossover and they opt out of that, then they will automatically get a debit card. That should hopefully help us reach that 60%. We have until December 1st to reach that 60%. If we do not meet that goal, then the increase with select account administrative fee will be $2.21, so it'll go up another 10 cents. And every year they're increasing that. So 2016 it'll be 70%, 18 it'll be 90%, and eventually they'll just do away with manual checks altogether. Everybody will just have to be direct deposit.
So, years ago, we went from voluntary electronic payments for payroll to mandatory.
Right.
Why couldn't we do that with this?
We basically are doing it now, because if you have crossover, that's mandatory if you elect to be in one of these plans. And so we're going to say if you have crossover, you have to have direct deposit. If you opt out of crossover, then you'd automatically get a debit card from Select Account, and then you're not included in that calculation. So we're just targeting those people that we remain in crossover, and then we are basically saying it's mandatory.
So, in essence, we'll reach that percentage we need to get to. Right?
We should.
Wayne was first.
Would you define crossover for those listening, please?
Sure, crossover is for medical and pharmaceutical expenses. So if you go to your provider and you have any out-of-pocket expenses, they automatically, based on your explanation of benefits, send that directly to Select Account, and then Select Account automatically reimburses you based on that amount. That's just taking away the need for you to do manual claims in order to get any medical reimbursements back to you. Just take some of the paperwork out of the way.
Okay. John?
If you use the card, do you have to spend all of your money for that card, or can you, at the end of the year, claim the rest of it on the normal request form?
You don't have to spend it if you have the card. The card is just an avenue for you
Yeah.
to get your
Okay.
expenses, but just because you have the card,
So
unless
it
you have a
doesn't-
flexible
It
spending.
doesn't limit you to get, okay.
Just the flex spending is
Flex
required to be
spending,
spent.
yes, it's use it or lose it. But if you have an HRA or the HSA, that rolls over.
Right.
So,
All right. Does that conclude your presentation?
I have one more.
All right.
She gets 10 minutes now.
You know
Well,
what?
if you-
We'll give her as much time as she wants.
The other important information is our grandfathered status. Under healthcare reform, we do have to tell every year whether we want to be grandfathered or non-grandfathered. The new plan coming in, the VIBA HSA, automatically comes in as non-grandfathered under healthcare reform. That's just how they do that. But we do have to renew the status for our other three plans, the Triple Gold, CMM, and VIBA 2600. We did recommend at the insurance committee that it remain grandfathered. We might as well keep that status as long as we can. One of the main reasons that we need to keep that status now is that if we do take the grandfather status away from those plans, we would have to redo the pharmaceutical benefits under there, and they would have to be treated either part of the medical out-of-pocket expense, or they would have to have a separate out-of-pocket for the, currently their copay plans, except for the VIBA. So we would like to go ahead and make sure that that recommendation of grandfather status for now remains. As we go forward, that's probably going to become obsolete at some point, but
Except for our new plan.
yeah, the new plan will be non-grandfathered. The three remaining plans would be recommended to be grandfathered.
Okay, so what we'll do is we'll vote on the motion on the rates, and then we'll have a separate motion by the board to, on the grandfathering issue.
Okay.
Is that okay with you?
Yes.
Right. Okay. All right.
So a motion would be needed today to pass to renew our contracts and increases as represented here, including the county contribution. That would be the
Okay.
first motion.
And that's the motion that I believe Wayne we've had made and seconded, so if there's no further discussion on that motion, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same, motion carried. And now it would be a motion to keep the three plans on the grandfather status.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Nothing from the administrator? Okay. You're looking at me like you might want to comment. All right, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carried. Again, great work.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Aaron, good job. Thank you. Okay, Brian, we're going to discuss adopting a resolution approving Clay County as a legal sponsor for application for the DNR Trail Assistance Program. I would imagine maybe we'll have a little input from Frank on this, too.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, and members of the board. You are familiar with the Agassiz Recreational Trail. Commissioner Gross represents the board on that trail. They've been going through a little transition over there, and this procedure or process or procedure that you're being asked to undertake today is a resolution for Clay County to be the sponsor of part of the trail. And if you notice in the resolution, the trail will now be called Pope Normand Clay Agassiz Recreational Trail. It has retained the title of Agassiz Recreational Trail for the purpose of DNR, because DNR reimburses for most of the expenses, probably all of the expenses to upkeep that trail. And I guess Commissioner Gross can address this as well, but if you remember right, Clay County has just a small segment of that trail, only 5 miles of it. Most of the trail falls within Polk County and Norman County. But many times when this will be mowed and maintained and groomed, the trail and things in the wintertime, the expectation is it'll be one ongoing trail, and it'll be contracted probably by the same person to do that type of work. I'm assuming that's what the discussion has been. So what we're asking the board to approve today is a resolution so that we can then be part of reimbursements from DNR for this maintenance of the trail. Am I right?
Yeah, and there's money available from last year yet.
Yes.
That has been applied for, so.
John?
I understand that it's also supposed to be a nature trail. I mean, it's supposed to be native prairie and so on alongside of it, and I was told by someone that there are people that are invading that some of the farmers are trying to mow the grass down and cutting down trees and so on in our 5 miles as well. Are you aware of that? Has that been talked about at the?
Yeah, it's been talked about quite a bit.
Yeah.
And there also been talked about that the trail is not being maintained, that there's a lot of weeds growing there.
Mhm.
That's why some of the farmers are trying to take
Mhm.
care of it,
But hopefully it can do it in a way that's not going to jeopardize the nature aspect of the of the project. But when you have each person working on separately, you get a chance to do invade.
I think if we work with each farmer individually, I think they would be very cooperative in what they're doing, I think,
Okay.
I don't know, the atmosphere probably hasn't been quite right, how it's been approached, and
Mhm.
I think they're willing to cooperate, Some cases they've been mowing for drainage purposes,
Yeah.
so their fields can drain off to the ditch wherever it's at and stuff like that. And sometimes it's because there's so many weeds out there, they're not maintained.
Mhm.
So then,
Okay, also, is each county passing the same resolution then for their own portion, or are we be acting as the legal sponsor for the whole thing?
Right. Mr. Chair and Commissioner Everett, I think it's in about paragraph 2. It's in paragraph 2 that heretofore known as the Agassiz Recreation Trail for the portion of the trail existing in Clay County.
Okay.
So all 3 counties will be passing this, but we will only be applying for that segment of it.
Of ours,
But
okay.
hopefully it's in one grant, and the trail will be represented by all 3 counties.
So has the, once this, assuming this goes through and it would be accepted, what's the agreement going to look like amongst the 3 counties in terms of cost share?
Well,
we maintain our own.
We're all going to be responsible just for our own miles?
Right.
that's
Okay.
correct.
Because that's not the way it was before.
No.
Okay, that's good for us.
Yes.
That's what
We're
I
going
was.
to do it just like we do county roads. Once you get
That's-
to the county line, you stop.
That's kind of what I was hoping the answer would be.
Okay.
All right,
I would move the resolution as stated.
I'll second.
we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Mr. Chair, just one
Yeah,
additional
yes.
word on this. Jenny, the County Attorney's Office, has reviewed this, and the attorneys are also working on transferring back the deeds to the proper counties. And it was ownership in commons, I believe is the proper word. So it was, all 3 owned it equally, and we
Okay.
only had 5 miles.
So
of
is
it,
that going to be
so-
like, just like quitclaim deeds or something?
They'll just be quitclaim deeds to each individual county, depending on where the property is located.
All right, thank you, Jenny. All right, so we did have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Yeah, it's just one, as far as maintenance of the trail in the wintertime, there's already been some snowmobile clubs that have shown interest, they want to maintain this trail.
Yeah, and I think once we get ready there, that might be a good idea to invite them to a meeting and talk to them about it. Find out what their plans are, because, you know, if we're going to promote it and it's going to be under the name of Clay County, we should make sure that whoever's doing it, that we have a responsible group that's going to make sure that it stays maintained.
Yeah.
So, right? So.
Yeah.
Okay, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carried.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Brian. Nancy, good morning.
Good morning.
You're looking for a resolution classifying tax forfeited list of non-conservation land.
Correct.
And you all have the list before you. So at this point, all of these properties are delinquent,
They forfeited to the state.
and they've already been forfeited to the state.
Correct.
Okay.
We need your approval so we can send it on to the DNR, so they can approve, and then we can put them in our tax forfeit sale.
Okay, and they end up going into that tax sale.
Mhm.
All right, very good. All right. Any questions from anybody?
I'll move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second.
I just want to, does this become what, are you saying this becomes our land then, or?
Well, it's the state's land. We take care of it in the name of the state.
So if it gets sold, who gets the money then? The state?
No, we do.
We get-
And then it gets distributed to
Just the
entities.
different districts.
Yep.
Very good.
We get our share of the taxes that we're due,
And
Okay.
special assessments and that type of stuff gets split out.
provided there's enough.
Yes, exactly.
All right, did we have a motion? on this?
Yes, we did.
Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carried. Thank you, Nancy.
Thank you.
Mhm. Come on up, Joe. Joe, I think this is your first time coming before us as a maintenance supervisor.
It is.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome.
Thank you.
And you're here to request the purchase of a vehicle.
Yes, yes. I'm here to request purchase of 2 vehicles for the building maintenance department. Before I talk about the 2 vehicles, though, I'd like to kind of touch on the history of what we have and what we had and what our needs are for this department. So this spring, we got rid of 2 vehicles. We got rid of an '83 Blazer and an '85 pickup, Chevy pickup. These 2 were entering into that nickel and diming phase. They were kind of pretty aged, so we got rid of them. And so that left us with right now we have an F-250 with 40,000 miles on it. That's kind of our heavy-duty truck. And we currently have a Dodge 2000 pickup, midsize. That one has significant costs, high repair costs as well. I'd like to see that one go to auction this year. So we have 2 vehicles right now. Between the 7 employees, we have various stuff: lawn care, snow removal, mail, parts runs, and stuff. We really have a need for 3 vehicles. And so looking into this, exactly what we need, I was talking with the highway department, and I think we could use just one, not a pickup, kind of a smaller Jeep type thing for running around town, mail, and all that stuff. And so I was working with Dave and Nathan, and they were able to give me a price for $7,029. And so I'd be requesting to buy that from them. When I went down to look for a new truck, we talked about in our department what our needs are for that, and I think we really need a stripped-down, half-ton, long box, single cab truck, and we don't quite need the F-250. We thought the half-ton would be perfect for us. So I went out and I got 4 different bids. I went to Luther. They came in at $24,816. Gateway came $26,315. Muscatel's at $27,999. And then the state bid came in at $20,640. And that's the one I think I would like to request that we purchase that one. That one is currently not under the state bid, but Sue was able to give me the state bid price, so. So a total of $27,669 plus tax would be what I would need, and I'd be taking this out of the internal service fund. Currently, we have $46,000 available to me, so. Any questions for me?
Okay, so you want to buy this 2014 Ford 150?
Yes.
F-150?
Yep.
For $20,000 plus tax?
20, yep,
And then in addition to that, you want to buy the second vehicle from the highway
from
department?
the highway department, yes.
And that one is $7,000?
Yep, $7,029, yep. And that would leave us with those two vehicles in our F-250, so we'd have a total of 3 altogether.
Okay. And the vehicle from the highway department, is that been serviced out from the internal service fund? Do you know, are they still budgeting dollars for that vehicle?
No, Mr. Chair, that is the one Nathan drives right now, and he has a new one on order,
Okay.
but it's like 77,000 miles, I think, on that white Jeep, and it's still a good vehicle, would be a good vehicle for them. So what, and this is the trade-in price plus the break on the taxes.
Okay, so they were planning on, highway was planning on trading.
Trading it in.
Yes.
And so
We were
you're
just
giving
kinda-
them what the trade-in value was?
That is correct.
Yep,
Yes.
yep.
All right.
And we figured that'd be, you know, our perfect parts running type, so we're not taking
Yep.
the trucks around town, so.
All right, well, it looks like you've
Good
got
plan.
money.
I'll move
Just,
approval.
we had Grant here first.
I was just gonna ask Joe, that new F-150, do you know how many miles you put on a year on a vehicle like that? roughly?
Not exactly, but I do know we've had the F-250 for around 10 years, and we have 40,000 miles on it. So we don't put it a lot, so, you know, and we would be parking these indoors in the wintertime in the heat and stuff, so I really think going with that new truck, we'd be set for quite some time.
I was just thinking maybe that lease program might be something to look at in the future for, you know, a vehicle especially that you put low mileage on, so it's, okay.
Okay,
I would move approval of the request.
okay. Have a motion to approve the purchase? Second by Frank. Any further discussion? Not all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same sign. Motion carried. Thanks, Joe.
Thank you, guys.
Okay, Dave is not here yet. Is Lori coming up?
I believe she will be coming up, yes. Mhm.
Yeah, we can do committee reports. All right, we'll jump ahead and do a couple of committee reports here. Frank, do you have a committee report today?
Yeah, I went to one meeting, the AMC, the General Government Platform Committee met in Alexandria for 2 days. And we had it was a very good, interesting meeting. There's some of the things what they want to bring forth as far as to the legislators next year. Certification of assessors was again discussed. Big thing on rebates to disabled veterans was another item they discussed. They're also talking about overassessment of utilities. The utilities are assessed and you collect taxes on them. Then afterwards, I mean, the state assesses these utilities. Then afterwards, they come back and say, well, we overassessed, and the counties end up refunding money to the utilities. And that was a big problem. Trying to get a sunset of all the mandates that have been put out. They're trying to get a sunset in all those mandates. So let me see what the other... And then also there were some counties that were looking at, they're looking at going to a 4-day week, you know, and they were looking at, I think some buildings are already closed down, and they were looking at the statutes that are presently on the books, whether you can close down buildings, certain buildings, and I think the statute says you have to be open 5 days a week, that the county has to be opened up, and they're concerned about some counties going to a 4-day week. So, and they're also looking at the land being purchased, or then they give it back to the DNR, which takes a lot of land off the tax rolls and stuff like that. So they're looking into that too. But no, it was a very good meeting.
Okay, is that it?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Wayne?
On Tuesday, September 2nd, Ward Planning Commission, general business. 2 variances were granted in North Morrid, one at 2201 11th Street North and another at 427 33rd Street North. We then granted a request for the city of Morrid regarding excavation within the floodway overlay district. Thursday, September 4th, Local Advisory Council of Children's Mental Health. General business, discussion of the Local Advisory Council's 25th anniversary coming up in 2015, looking at different events to draw attention to the Advisory Council's activities. We had agency reports from Clay County Social Services, Lakeland Mental Health, Clay County Collaborative, and we will set up a meeting regarding rural transportation for mental health individuals. And that's been a concern for some time. Some other things here, but we're going to make a request that Jeff Nelson, the resource officer at the high school, to be given permission by his supervisor to attend the meetings of the Local Advisory Council. And that's all I have, Mr. Chair.
All right, very good. Grant?
Let's see, I had AMC last week also, and attended the public safety meetings, and we had a good presentation on something that's called FirstNet, which is a communications network that they're working on that will be a nationwide, which looks like it has a lot of promise, but it's a pretty big undertaking. We went over the platform for AMC for public safety issues, and it's diversion programs, drug courts, communications, emergency management, and basically encouraging the state to fund those at a higher level. Let's see, I had what else did I have? We had a law library meeting yesterday, and we're going to be in the process of looking for a new law librarian, which happens periodically because we hire students because it's a part-time position, and we're looking at some improvements in the law library for the future, possibly having paying an attorney part-time to help people fill out forms, that type of a thing. So that was it for me.
John?
Okay, last week there were quite a few meetings concerning the diversion. But first of all, on Tuesday I had a meeting with the Historical Society Capital Fundraising Committee, and that was held at 4 o'clock on Tuesday. And then I went to Breckenridge for the meeting that the governor had called down there for information on the diversion. Well attended, standing room only in their large courtroom, and it was there. All the information was really that was given to the governor was really of concerns on the damages that people were asked to endure, but it was a peaceful gathering. The next day, Wednesday, there was a meeting at 9 o'clock in the morning here at the City Hall where the governor again called in. I think most of us were probably at that one. And there was both sides had a chance to express their concerns, and the governor listened. And I think seeing today, I haven't read the article yet, but in the paper it looked as if some things may be changing because of the governor's concern.
I'll talk about that too.
Yeah, okay. Then I traveled to, following that meeting at City Hall, I traveled to Alexandria where the policy committee meetings were, and I was only there for that short time in the afternoon. But heard the governor and his opponent both speak, and attended the first part of the Natural Resources Committee, which I serve on. Came back here to Moorhead for Transportation Alliance meeting at the Yemcombe Center, where I had a chance to present some of the concerns for highway needs for Clay County. And there was a number of counties there that were heard from and represented. And the basic concern is that we simply don't have enough money for our road construction, and everybody feels like they're getting behind, including the whole state. And so we need to find ways to increase funding for highway construction. There's just no question about it. And that's a challenge, as most people are very concerned about raising taxes, but they're also concerned about their roads. So we need to find a compromise there somehow. Thursday was the board meeting of it's called the ex officio meeting, where we invite all the government offices, agencies, and so on to come to the Basin Commission board meeting. And that's a once-in-a-year thing, and we have very good turnout. I think all the congressional offices and so on are represented from both states, and and many of the agencies that we work with are there. And that's always a very positive meeting, and something that the Basin Commission is pleased that so many of the leaders, federal leaders and so on, do participate in that. Then on Friday night, I know both Kevin and I participated in the parade, and but all of North Moorhead was there in yellow shirts for Kevin. That was impressive. And yesterday I went over to the engineer's office for AE2S to visit with the folks about the needs that Comstock residents have expressed with the diversion. If it occurs, there needs to be protection for the city of Comstock, and so we began that discussion yesterday. And they're going to be coming to a meeting on the 18th in the city of Comstock that we'll be able to continue further the discussion. That was it.
Okay, I had, like you guys, I didn't have any meetings last week other than the meeting with the governor. I was invited to sit at that table and in the round table and carry on and have discussions with them. As a result of that meeting, we did reach out with our Diversion Authority Chair Vanyo, and if any of you were able to read the article in the paper today, he is proposing that the Oxbow Hickson Baki project be cut back to the 100-year design for right now until the time that the Minnesota EIS is done. For those of you who are unaware, at our last Diversion Authority meeting, we had Daryl, and do you remember Daryl's last name from the DNR? And then Kent Lockismo. And Kent made the comment that, you know, where the DNR had the problem with that Oxbow Hickson Baki deal was that they were constructing that to a 500-year level. And he had made the comment, had the Diversion Authority stuck with the 100-year level with the 3-foot of freeboard, it probably wouldn't have been an issue to Minnesota, and therefore not infringing on Minnesota's rights. So at that last Diversion Authority meeting, the mayor of Oxbow got up and spoke, or not at that meeting, but at the meeting with the governor, the Oxbow mayor got up and spoke and said that they would be willing to live with the 100-year protection for now while the Minnesota EIS, until the Minnesota EIS is done. And so I'd been on a couple of conference calls with Chair Vanyo and certainly encouraged him to move forward with that option, or that suggestion to the governor. And that letter went out electronically, I believe, yesterday. So, and then also there was an agreement that, you know, that no work on the diversion would start. No construction on any portion of the diversion would start until the Minnesota EIS is complete. And what we did put in there, or Darrell did put in there, that they were hopeful that that could be complete by July of 2015. And part of the deal there is, under Minnesota law, from the time that start to finish, they're supposed to have 270 days to complete that. And so Minnesota themselves are falling outside of their own law by not completing the EIS within the 270 days that they are required to finish it by. So anyway, that's where it's at. We'll wait to hear the response from the governor. I know after the meeting I had a chance to speak with the governor for a few minutes personally, and I told him I'd be more than happy to go to St. Paul and talk to him about the issue, and he was very open to that and suggested that we meet. So, but that was my week with that. So, all right. Well, Brian, we'll get yours after we get Dave's project done here. Dave, come on up.
Good morning. I've got two items on my agenda today. First item is rectifying and getting some numbers straightened out for our Unit 120, our plow truck. I think we inadvertently had tax shown on the number that was approved for the truck body and the plow equipment and that. We still are required to pay sales tax on vehicles to include plow trucks. And the way we usually buy these things is you buy the cab and chassis from one dealership, and you buy the rest of the equipment from another dealership. So the amount to be approved for the cab and chassis, I think we might have had a number wrong there, but I guess in our packet the correct numbers are $111,538.52 is what we're going to pay for the cab and chassis, and then the plow wing, the underbody plow and box and hydraulics is $94,033.
Does that include the appropriate tax where it's?
Correct, yeah. It's got the tax on the cab and chassis, which I think we did have the tax on there, but I think we might have messed up on a number there, and we clearly had the tax included. So the number that I just read is less than what we approved a couple weeks ago.
Because a portion of it is not taxed.
Correct.
Right.
You asked that question.
Okay. Move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carried. Okay, adopt funding resolution and agreement for 2 bridge replacement projects.
Yeah, this is the, years ago we used to have just a resolution for the bridge bonding funding that we got through the state. Just passed out a map on the 2 projects that we've got a funding resolution as well as a grant agreement. We've been doing these for about 4 or 5 years now. It came down through the legislature that they wanted a little more, I don't know if it was accountability or just basically a little bigger agreement between the states and the counties for spending the bridge bonding dollars. Here is, and we have to have 3 copies of each one, but this is 3 copies for one of the projects. You know, it's quite a lot of paperwork, but it's standard, and we're familiar with it, and we've been signing it. But what we do need to get signed is the grant agreement and resolution for 2 state aid projects. One of them is on 590. I think I might have messed up on this here a little bit. Yeah, I think I got a township project shown in the north part of the county. It's a 599. That's not the project. One project is on County Road 67. It's over by the Red River in the southern part of the map here, 59867. That's coincidentally, it's 59867, which doesn't mean it's on 67, but nonetheless, it's the same. That's the first one. The other one is down by Barnesville, and that's County Road 56, and that's SAP 59866. So those are the 2 projects. And I thought I'd just bring a map so you can kind of see where it's at, and accidentally highlighted the wrong project there on the north side. But the one is on County Road 67. It's about 1.5 miles south of the Convent Road, right by the Red River. And the other one is on County Road 56, and it's about 1.5 miles or 1.75 miles west of Barnesville, just north of Highway 2 on that little creek there, ditch 34. In County Road 56, the grant agreement is number 06321. And the amount of grant dollars on that road is $122,044 is the, so it's a pretty good program. We're getting a lot of money for our bridges. I wish we could get more money, and we've been lobbying with the Transportation Alliance, and every time I get a chance to talk to Representative Marquardt, I kind of bend his ear a little bit and say we could do for an additional 10 or 20 million, because of the 30-40 million we get statewide, normally there's one big project, you know, and the big bridges down in Minneapolis, I get it, they need the money as well as we do, but then make our local or greater Minnesota share kind of stay at the 30 or 40 million and fund their projects separately. I guess that's kind of the message that the counties try to push.
Dave, we should make clear that you're talking statewide, the 30, 40 million.
Absolutely.
What's our portion?
Yep, and then and then out of that 30, 40 million, they'll pull 20 million out for one bridge.
Yeah.
So then we share half of that. So, but it's been good for Clay County. Not all counties in the state have a lot of bridges. We've got a lot of ditches. We're a flat county, so we've got a lot of need for this sort of thing. Ever since I've started here 13 years ago, the previous engineer as well, he did a very good job of replacing these bridges. We do all the township bridges as well, which is a separate fund, separate pot of money, but pretty aggressively try to replace our bridges. And the townships and the farmers, they come in quite often and they inquire about a certain bridge. So you know, it's a big deal in our county. Everybody's pretty aware of them old wooden bridges that were probably built by the county 40, 50, 60 years ago or so, and we tear them out, we put a concrete box culvert in, and then we should be good for 75 years plus.
Mr. Chair, I would move that we grant the request to approve the funding for resolution.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve funding for the bridges. Further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carried.
Just maybe want to pass one little tidbit on about the project out on
Yes,
11th
please.
Street there. They did get all the paving done. We were working extremely hard on them, trying to get it done before school. It didn't happen. We were very disappointed. I know the city was disappointed, city residents. I've gotten some backlash from some residents wondering why in the world would we start spraying oil and paving on the first day of school. But we were caught between not doing it at all and waiting a week, or they moved the plant in a little bit right up to the wire on getting it done. They had a lot of breakdowns over the weekend, and it was the holiday weekend on top of it, and it couldn't have been a worse scenario, I guess. But we pushed them hard. They did get it done. I think it turned out pretty good. We knew we had 3 to 6 days of raising the manholes. So that's what they're doing right now, and they're really struggling getting concrete. So there again, there's another little hurdle here. There's a lot of construction going on, and even getting concrete to pour in those little diamonds is hard for them to get 2 or 3 trucks a day. I think they're paving out on Southeast Main right now, kind of between Menards and the intersection of 20th Avenue. So there's all kinds of concrete being poured, and they just stand in line and try to get the work done. So I'm hoping maybe by the end of the week or so we get it all done, get it striped, and take all the signs down and get back to normal.
Problem with this is there are multiple days where they just sat there with nothing being done, and their weather was perfect to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. And they came in late. We're going to have a little bit of a discussion at the end, being the fact they did come in late, but there was some work that was added. The turn lane on the south end was added, and as well as whenever you do an ADA type project like this, you go out there and you design it and you estimate for a certain amount of removals. Once you start tearing out, you realize you probably have a little more, just because your string line, your grade gets steeper than you thought once you tear it out. So there was quite a bit of overruns on the concrete as well, which will then give them a little more justification for taking more time. So yeah, it's going to be a healthy discussion on, we feel there should be some liquidated damages because they didn't get it done by the middle of August when we wanted, let alone they didn't get it done by school, which we absolutely did not want.
And they are paying a penalty, aren't they, for each day?
There's like a $1,500 per day, but like I said, with the overruns, it's going to be a pretty good argument, and I believe we'll have to have our attorneys help on this one a little bit, but we're not going to go easy on them. We're just disappointed.
Yeah.
So when is this going to be striped and opened?
I would, if I had to guess, by Monday. Hopefully by the end of the week, but I know, like I said, they're only doing 15 to 20 of those manholes per day based on how much concrete they can get. There's 45 of them they need to do, so It looks to me like everything south of the courthouse has yet to be done. I think they're all cut out and they're all sitting there, but it's taken longer than we thought. I think they figured 3 to 6 days, and they're probably about halfway into that, so it should be done by the end of the week, but hopefully Monday at the very earliest, or latest, I mean.
Pretty poor timing.
Absolutely, I agree. You know, it's everything we didn't want to happen, and it happened.
Right.
Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you. Brian and Lori?
Well, good morning again, Mr. Chair and members of the board. You have 3 pieces of information in front of you. The one that I'm sure you're most interested in is the summary of the 2015 tax levy by fund. That's this chart, I'll say. And you'll notice that we have adjusted some figures at your direction as of last week. The memo that goes with that is just identifying the 2 locations where we took those dollars. We obligated $175,000 from the general fund reserves and $200,000 from the social service reserves, and that's a total of $375,000. And you had asked to look in that range of 400 or less, depending upon how it falls in line there. And you'll see that the spread levy, this reduces the spread levy to 3.99 with a net levy increase after the 1.4% gross of a 2.59, and that's what the taxpayer would see on their statement, is the net effect of 2.59, because the spread levy is spread over everything, but when you spread it over the new growth as well, it brings the average down on the established taxpayer. So it's a net effect of 2.59 on them. And if you look up on the top sheet, we talked about all these figures last time. I just wanted to renew the fact that that general fund reserve is showing a 4.09 increase, but that does contain the $468,000 for the insurance. If you were to take that $468,000 out of there, there would be a 1% increase on that. That will be spread over all of those accounts when Lori breaks that out after.
In essence, if we didn't have that $400,000 increase, we could be sitting right now with a 0.59.
We'd be pretty lean.
So our increase is basically as the proposal is here now. The majority of that increase is due to health insurance costs.
I think that's a fair statement. Yes. Yep.
Okay.
So that, I guess that does lead us into unless there's any questions on this, I shouldn't jump ahead here.
Any questions?
Then that leads us into the resolution for the preliminary levy that Lori has to verify. And that shows the breaks down by funds and things. This is not due till the end of September. We presented it today for your consideration. You want to review it, think about it. It's up to you when you would like to approve it. So,
Now, keep in mind, a preliminary levy is that, it's preliminary. What the law does state is we cannot go up once we establish preliminary levy, but we can still go down, right, Lori?
Yes, that's
So-
correct. And also, as part of that levy, you have to establish your truth and taxation meeting. And right now, we've got Thursday, December 4th in there. It does not need to be that night. That's just the first Thursday in December.
Okay, so do we have to make that determination today if we,
You've got to make it as part of this resolution.
okay. So if we're going to pass this today, we have to put in that date?
Correct.
Or whatever date you want?
Whatever date you choose. Yep.
Okay.
and that date is included in the resolution, Mr. Chair.
See, okay.
Mr. Chair, do you feel, with your expertise on this, we should have the resolution today?
Well, you know, looking at this one, when our administrator and Lori first brought this budget to us, we were at a spread levy at 8.44, down to a net levy of 7.04. I think there's been an awful lot of hard work and through communication with all of our departments. That number, for example, that number 8.44 has gone down to 3.99. The net levy has gone from 7.04 to 2.59. And when you think that 2.59, that almost that entire amount is due to an increase that we've got no control over, and that's the health insurance premium increases, I think we've done a pretty good job at this point with the budget. And no place in here, by bringing this down to IC, where services are being impacted in a negative way to the county either. So I think this looks good. I would certainly be willing to support a motion today to set the preliminary levy. I don't know that there's any reason to wait, unless there's any concerns on the part of Lori or Brian in terms of, have we covered everything well from your standpoint?
Yeah, we have, Mr. Chair.
Board, other thoughts from the board members?
I think too, we just as well, could just as well do it. I don't see any reason why we can't.
You could move that hearing date to the Tuesday. I'm not sure, when is AMC this year? Because usually we're running into a little bit of a conflict with AMC, so.
They didn't have a specific date in our meeting.
But they're usually done by Wednesday anyway, aren't they?
Yeah, but if you wanted to do it Tuesday, I'm wondering if AMC isn't the next weekend.
Yeah, I think
It's like the
it's the 8th.
7th and 8th, I
7th,
think.
8th.
So if you wanted to do it on a Tuesday, you certainly could.
Oh. Okay.
I would prefer that. I've got another conflict on that,
On the 4th?
4th.
Well, let's change it to the 2nd then. Would that work for everybody else?
Fourth's a pretty privileged day, though, Mr. Chair. That's my birthday, so.
Oh, well, we'll have to have a party.
Well, we'll give you the night off.
Okay.
You're still not old enough for Medicare.
So we change it to the 2nd.
Yeah. And
Your
is that,
birthday will be noted.
is that meeting required to be in the evening, right?
Yeah, 6 or later. yeah.
Okay, so could we arrange for our board meeting to be late that day then, so that we don't have to come in the morning and then again at night?
Yep.
So, Vicki, you can work that into agenda requests?
4:30 or 5, whichever we.
Yeah, well, depending on the amount of requests,
Yeah,
that she'll work the time that way. Okay, what's the board wishes?
I'll move the resolution and setting the truth and taxation for December 2nd.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to set the preliminary levy, spread levy at $26,155,639, or 3.99%, with when new construction's considered, it brings us to a net levy increase of 2.59%. Any further discussion on the motion? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, the same. Motion carried. Brian and Laurie, thank you for your work on that. And, of course, we'll still have to be monitoring how we're doing year-to-date in case there's other issues that, maybe there'll be other surprises that
positive surprise.
We can only hope.
Yes, you can't have any more negative ones, so.
But you'll continue to provide us with where we are year-to-date, too. For sure.
Absolutely.
Thank you. All right, very good.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, just
Yep.
one additional comment. This has been a real challenge, and the board has really given some good leadership on where you want to be on this, and I thank you for that. It really makes our job much more easy when it's your budget and you decide where you want to go with it, and that's great. And I think, I want to thank Lori and Vicki for their help in putting this together, and the department heads too. They all worked really hard. They were concerned in what the goal was, and they were very supportive of it, so appreciate that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Brian, we have one item left, and that's your administrator report.
Okay, Mr. Chair, thank you. A few of the items have already been discussed in length. That's Governor Deaton, and I sat in on that meeting as well. And also, I attended the Moorhead transportation meeting held at the MCOG Center that Commissioner Everett spoke about. I thought that was a very good meeting. We did have a joint powers meeting Thursday morning, and you attended that, Mr.
That's
Chair.
right, I did. That's right, I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. But that I thought was a very good meeting, and it centered on the retreat planning for it, and
Well, let me get my report.
there you go. Okay.
Sorry, I forgot to write it in because I got the notice late, so I didn't. So, we were planning for the intergovernmental retreat in January, and a lot of it's going to be centered around issues this time regarding university and high school issues.
Youth training.
And also then we suggested that we bring in some students actually partake in some of the panels.
Yeah.
And it's all relates to how this long-term thing works with economic development, what makes kids go to school here and what makes them want to stay here when they're done. I think it's going to be a really good retreat, so thank you for attending it.
No, that's quite all right. It was kind of an exciting meeting because, there's been a lot of talk about that and our future and what holds and the discussions of four-year educations and master's degree, but yet, how about the trades? And there was a lot of discussion about that. That trade is so important right now. And there's a lot of jobs here and west of us, so our kids can have a bright future. We had a management team meeting, and one of the items that we had on there, we had a presentation from the United Way. I think Paul Laney, the sheriff of Cass County, is the current chair, and he came over along with Tom. I don't recall Tom's last name right off the top of my head. And they gave a presentation to our department heads in reference to the importance of United Way and how it interacts with all of the things that we do, and it is really a partnership. Then we had a conference call in regards to some of the diversion activity. We had a administrative advisory meeting last Thursday morning in regards to it as well. Darren has had a couple labor negotiations as of yesterday. We met with Mike Ringel and he in reference to this, so that'll be more to come on that. Contracts that are renewable in 2015, so the negotiations have started there. And of course, time with personnel issues always is some of the week's time, it seems like. And then I guess just for your information, Joe Olson, the supervisor of maintenance, will be bringing we have the quotes for the snow removal coming up. And what we plan to do this year is have those quotes opened at the board meeting so we can answer any questions. But I guess if you know of anybody, we want as many quotes given to us for snow removal as possible. So if you know somebody out there, that tell them that's up and coming, so they should be contacting us, and we'll get public notice out. But just so that you're all aware that we'll be doing that this year. It's up for renewal. So with that, Mr. Chair, this concludes my report.
All right. Seeing no other business, we are adjourned.